Now 92.1 FM, Westland Insurance Time, 7:32 now, 36 degrees. I'm Greg Lawrence, and it's Friday morning, the first Friday of the month, which means we check in with Senator Howard Marklein joining us this morning. Good morning, Howard. How are you?
Wonderful. Happy Good Friday.
Happy Good. That's odd to say, but yeah, happy Good Friday. Happy Easter weekend.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, you too.
And Murph in the morning, too. Hi, Murph.
Good morning. It is a very good Friday.
It is.
Howard, thank you for being here. Appreciate it.
Good to be here.
Always the first Friday every month, so you can count on that. And
yes, that's the plan.
That's excellent. We appreciate it. And so do our listeners. It's very nice to have you here. And a lot going on. You're a busy guy.
Good to be here. We were here Monday and here today, and I'll be back in Juneau County with Representative Brooks on next Monday.
Let's talk about that, if we can, real quick,
Sure.
And then we'll talk about it before we leave so everybody can be reminded of it. So 4 listening sessions in our county.
Yes.
On Monday.
Yeah. Actually, I think there's 3 is what I've got on my calendar. So we'll be in Elroy at 9:45 on Monday, April 6th from 9:45 to 10:30 at the council chambers. And then we go to New Lisbon, City Hall, 11 o'clock to 11:45 on Monday. And then to Camp Douglas from noon until 12:45 at Lemonweir Valley Telecom. So good opportunity for people to stop by, just share their views, and both Representative Brooks and I would welcome seeing our constituents.
How efficient is that for the constituents to be able to see both of you at the same time and not have to make 2 trips and get the ear and the attention of both of you at the same time? That's pretty neat.
Yeah, we try to make ourselves available, and there is nothing better than face-to-face communication. Emails are wonderful, and texting is wonderful, and all that. But there's nothing better than sitting down with somebody and having a good conversation about their issues.
Still is the best way to
absolutely face to face.
Best way to communicate.
When your constituents look in your eye and they level something at you, it's right there on the table.
And it's much more effective.
That's right, because you can really understand
Right.
where they're coming from and where their passion
Right.
is. So this is kind of an exciting thing. All right, let's talk about the Senate Transportation Committee. Mm-hmm. You're the vice chair for that,
right?
And 70-mile-an-hour speed limit. How's that going so far?
Well, it's passed last session. It passed the state assembly. It has already passed again in the state assembly. In the last session, it got bogged down in the Senate Transportation Committee. It never got out of committee. So we have a hearing on next Tuesday, on the 70-mile-an-hour speed limit. So we'll have to see, how that goes. And my guess is it's got a much better chance of getting through the Senate this time than it did last session. So my guess is, if I had a bet, I would bet that it will be approved. We're the only state in the Midwest that does not have at least a 70-mile-an-hour speed limit. So go to Minnesota, Iowa, Illinois, Michigan are all at 70 miles an hour, and so. We're kind of the aberration at this point, and our highways, our interstates were designed for 70 miles an hour or better. So, and the bill basically would allow the Department of Transportation to determine where 70 miles an hour is safe. And so, obviously, in any urban areas or congested areas, we wouldn't be changing the speed limits there at all.
So I can't go 70 on Fairway Lane right out here?
You can try. Best of luck. I can call the sheriff and give him a little heads up. I'm sure Brent needs the revenue too.
So if it does make it through the process, when would we see that? When would we see signs change? And
I don't know exactly. The hearing is on Tuesday. After that, we will come back and actually vote it out of committee. Then it's got to get scheduled to the full floor of the Senate. If it passes the Senate, then it goes to the governor's desk. He would have to either sign it or veto it. So I don't know. My guess is maybe this summer, late, possibly.
Wow. With all that process, that's pretty quick.
Yeah, and they've got to change all the signs, obviously, in the interstates, and so I might be a bit optimistic.
Well, that's why optimistic. So it might, but it's there's reason to be optimistic that it may happen sooner than later.
Well, there's a better chance it's going to happen now than it did last session.
There you go.
All right, now 92 FM, Westland Insurance time is 24 minutes till 8. Talking with Senator Howard Marklein. Good morning again. Let's talk about revenue numbers from like February from 2015. Give us some information on that.
Sure. Last week, the Department of Revenue released the revenue numbers for the month of February and for the first 8 months of our fiscal year. And, I watch those very closely, I guess, because I'm an accountant. I tend to do that kind of stuff. And also,
you're interested in that stuff for some silly reason.
somebody should watch it. And the other reason that I watch these numbers closely is that will have a direct impact on our budget for the next year. The more money we've got left over, from the current year, that has an impact, obviously, on the budget that we'll be voting on here over the next couple of months. So the February numbers, in a nutshell, were very, very good. Our individual income tax collections were almost so good. In fact, they were so good that I called the Department of Revenue to make sure that they were right and hadn't made a mistake. So that's good. The sales tax numbers for the month of July were up 11% over the prior year. On a year-over-year basis, on a year-to-date basis, our sales tax is up, 5.8%. So again, that's indicates there's some underlying strength, in the economy, at least compared to the prior year. So, and sales tax and income tax are the two biggest sources of revenue for our state budget. So anyway, the numbers have looked good. They look good this entire fiscal year, and I'll keep watching them closely. We will get, about May 1st, we will get revised revenue numbers for the current fiscal year from the Nonpartisan Legislative Fiscal Bureau. And my hope is that those numbers are much stronger than what they had told us back in January. In January, they had indicated that a little bit of softness. I think we're going to see some stronger numbers in May, and I'm very, very hopeful that that's going to set us up to address some of the concerns that we're hearing with the governor's budget.
Neat. I like how you the optimistic and optimism there. It's like you were started saying, the sales tax numbers being up significantly, 5+%. Yeah, things are positive. And
people don't spend money that they don't have, So, as I talk to employers, they're looking. There's more help wanted signs up all over. People are looking for employees. I've talked to employees that are working more overtime, which, from maybe a family standpoint, isn't all that wonderful. But gosh, it's not. They're also. A lot of people are grateful for those extra hours
Absolutely.
a week. That's all overtime,
Right.
paid overtime rates.
Yeah. Very good.
Yeah.
All right, now 92 FM, Westland Insurance time is 21 till 8. We have 36 degrees. We'll take a break and catch our mid-Wisconsin weather. Now 92 FM, Westland Insurance time is 16 till 8, 36 degrees. Greg Lawrence, along with Murph in the morning.
Hanging out on a Good Friday. Good Friday, everybody. Hope you enjoy a holiday weekend with your family.
That's right, a wonderful holiday weekend. We're welcoming Senator Howard Marklein to our morning show, as we do every first Friday of the month. And that's what today is.
Good to be here.
Senator, thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, happy to be here.
Hopefully you're not getting sick of Juneau County. You're getting
all.
your dose
No,
of
no,
it left and right. But we really
Enjoy
appreciate it. We really appreciate it. It's very cool.
So let's talk about some of the things you've got going on, like this whole Buck Stadium thing, the governor's proposal. Right there, your face, you can't see it on radio, but your face, you have definite opinion about this.
Oh, I sure do. When this proposal came out, I had reservations right off the bat. And we've, I've listened to a lot of people. The further you get away from Milwaukee, you get out in this area, and people just don't have the interest, at all. And you can say what you want, but the Bucks are not the Packers, and they're not the Brewers. And so you don't have this the ownership or this passion out in my district anyway that you've got, for say the Packers or the Brewers. So. And then, the financial part of it. And we just got some numbers last week from the Legislative Fiscal Bureau that I'd requested a while ago to look at what's the cost going to be to taxpayers. And under this $220 million bonding proposal that the governor had put forth. And The problem is that in the early years of the amortization schedule, the taxpayers are on the hook. Okay, it's not till you get out to year 13, 14, et cetera, that this thing may turn where the revenue from the player contract, the taxes on the player contracts is enough to pay it. So I just have a hard time swallowing that. I don't want our taxpayers to be on the hook. Philosophically, you think about this. Why should state taxpayers who are working hard get up every morning and pack a lunch pail and go to work, and why should they be supporting millionaires and billionaires, in Milwaukee? And
Thank you.
I have a hard time. I just have a hard time supporting that.
No, thank you. Thank you. That nonsensical. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah. Thank you. Hopefully other like minds can think that way.
And the thing is, it's very true. I mean, around here, it's the off season in football, but you got guys like Murph, who are originally from Chicago, and he keeps bringing in more Chicago imports to this office. I don't know why, but that seems to keep happening. But we argue all the time about Packers Bears. We still have the rivalry of the Brewers Cubs or Brewers White Sox. Baseball, football is always going around and around. But
then there's Then you think of Badgers, and oh yeah, Bucks. Yeah,
that's right. We got a Bucks team. We got a basketball. It's afterthought.
But even that, Milwaukee gets more than their fair share of our local tax money that we have to pay.
Mm-hmm. Right.
They do, and enough's enough. That the owners of the NBA people, they make tons of money, pay for their own building.
Right.
Can you say transportation fund? I mean, you look at the transportation.
Yeah, how much that goes to?
There's some huge projects going on in Milwaukee that, that money, if you look at on a map, that money is going from every corner of the state to southeast Wisconsin. And so, we've done our fair share of supporting Milwaukee.
Yeah. And we're proud of some of the stuff in Milwaukee. And I go every year to Summerfest and love it, and that's great. And there's the zoo there, and there's some great stuff in Milwaukee. And proud to have Milwaukee part of our state. But fair is fair.
Exactly, right. That's right. All right, now 92 on FM, Summit Ridge, and your friends here at Now 92 on FM. Back with Murph in the morning.
Happy Good Friday. Happy holiday weekend, everybody.
Yes, and we're welcoming Senator Howard Marklein. Good morning.
Yes, it is a good morning.
First Friday of the month, so we get a visit, so thank you very much for being here.
Good to be here.
All right, what else is going on that's near and dear to your heart, shall we discuss?
Talk about the DNR parks.
Yeah.
We have some really neat parks in our area.
Yeah, in the process of going through the budget, we're looking at the camping fees at some of our parks. And my family, we've gone up to Peninsula State Park up in Door County for, I think, 18 years now. And we have a heck of a time getting in. It's packed. We have to make reservations over 11 months ahead of time and all that, okay? And so, I was looking at that, and I was looking at the camping fees for that, and then I got some data on occupancy rates of some of our campsites and some of our parks. Devil's Lake State Park, for example, is not that far from here. And last year, between May 23rd and September 2nd, which is kind of the prime camping times, their occupancy rate was 99.12%. All right? In other words, they were full. They were plump full. Now, the camp fees that they charge at Devil's Lake State Park are $15 for a resident and $17 for a non-resident, for those Illinois people, Murph, that you bring up here. Okay? Now, if you're in the private sector and you've got a line waiting to get into your restaurant or your business that's miles long, I think you ought to be raising the rates a little bit. Okay?
I think we learned supply and demand, and
I learned that a while ago. Yeah. So the other thing that I think I'm personally advocating for is that I think there needs to be a larger premium for our non-residents. They love to come up and enjoy our beautiful parks and all that. We welcome them, but the parks are subsidized currently at about a 25% by state taxpayers. Okay, now, I don't mind subsidizing the two of you to camp. Your residents, you pay your taxes and all that. But
thank you.
I don't feel obligated to subsidize somebody from Chicago coming up and for the weekend. So I think there needs to be at least a premium on there so that they are paying their own way.
Absolutely no disagreement here. Absolutely no disagreement. Yes, I'm from Chicago, proud to be from Chicago. I'm a Wisconsin resident for 20-some-odd years, 22, almost 30 years. I don't know what it is. But proud to be, fair is fair. And that's crazy cheap. And it's also not fair to the private campground owners in the area.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
You could not live on anywhere near that for us.
I know that. And I don't think government should be competing with the private sector.
No.
And so anyway, so I'm proposing that the DNR, we need revenue, obviously this year. So I'm proposing that we increase those camping fees on these premium parks. Okay, not across the board. We've got a lot of parks that we're not going to hit the big numbers like we do at Peninsula State Park or like at Devil's Lake State Park. But at those premium parks, we got to be charging more, and we need the revenue. So.
Do you have Buckhorn State Park?
I do,
because that's right here near, and it's got to be crazy packed too. Because every time I try to get a spot for family and friends coming up, there's nothing available, and it's unbelievably reasonable. I mean, dirt cheap, just like you pointed out at Devil's Lake. So that's right.
Yep.
We're running up against time. I wanted to touch on a couple more things with you, if we could, while
Sure.
we have you here. I remember what I wanted to talk to you about. Just, you had the joint financial listening sessions, and you were proud. We were proud that you had one here in Reedsburg in our district. How did that go? That was a long day, I'm sure. A long 4 days around in the state, or 6 days, or whatever it was. But.
Yeah, and it's a good process, a necessary process. We provide people with an opportunity to provide input. 1,200 people attended the 4 listening sessions that we had in Brillion, Milwaukee, Rice Lake, and in Reedsburg. And the thing, the takeaway that I have is there's some common themes, common concerns. And then those are things we need to really, be thinking about.
Yeah.
So senior care, IRIS, long-term care, it was an issue. UW, some of those issues came up repeatedly. Those are the things that we need to.
Yeah, if you hear it again and again, you got to start paying attention. There's something there. There's some smoke.
Yeah, and if like in Milwaukee, we heard not surprisingly more about like the Bucks, for example. Because they're in Milwaukee,
Sure.
they want that stadium built in Milwaukee, but we didn't hear that in the other 3 listening sessions. So, but
Shocking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one more thing to wrap up. You're going to be back in our county on Monday.
Yes, we are. Yes,
So.
we've got, and I said earlier we had 3. We do have 4 listening sessions. We'll be starting out in Waniwak at 9 o'clock from 9 to 9:30, and then going to Elroy at listening session there 9:45. Then to New Lisbon City Hall 11 to 11:45, and then finally in Camp Douglas at Leavenworth Valley Telecom from noon until 12:45. So again, I encourage residents, please stop by and say hello. Representative Ed Brooks and I will be there, and love to hear from you.
Thanks for all the attention to our county. On behalf of all our listeners, we appreciate it. Appreciate what you do, and wish you and your family a happy Easter.
Thank
happy
you.
Holiday weekend.
You too.
All right.
Happy Easter.
Thank you.
And we'll see you in a month.
I'll be here.